Hello everyone, how are you? Ukraine's armed forces already using kamikaze drones. Ukraine has already received kamikaze drones from partners and is waiting for the latest Switchblade 600 drones. Source: Yuri Inat, spokesperson for the Air Force of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, at a briefing on the 28th of October, quote, "I will convey to you today's important developments. And I'll look into what might be on the map. If you want the war to end, I would appreciate it if you like the video and comment. Don't hold back your support and let's show our stance. Unmanned aircraft have become an integral element of military conflicts. We have Bayraktar TB2 strike UAVs. We also have kamikaze drones already, provided to us by our partners, and they are being used. And we are already waiting for the latest drone. We had the Switchblade 300, and our partners will be supplying us with several sets of Switchblade 600 attack UAVs. This is also the latest UAV, which has very powerful tactical and technical characteristics and, we hope, will prove itself in combat operations in Ukraine." Zelensky. Russia releases 30 drones in Ukrainian attacks. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky charged Friday that Russia has launched more than 30 drone attacks in Ukraine in the past 2 days with weapons believed to be provided by Iran. Those drones, which are smaller than missiles and harder to shoot down, have targeted power plants and other infrastructure outlets that Kyiv and the United States have claimed as against international law. Zelensky also said Russia has carried out some 4,500 missile strikes and more than 8,000 air raids since the start of its invasion of Ukraine in February. He vowed that the Ukrainians, though, will continue to fight. "Shelling will not break us," Zelensky said. "To hear the enemy's anthem on our land is scarier than the enemy's rockets in our sky. We are not afraid of the dark." Linda Thomas-Greenfield, the United States ambassador to the United Nations, said while the United Nations should investigate Russia's uses of the drone, it should not be equated to Russia's call to investigate Ukraine on charges it may use a radioactive, dirty bomb. "Here's the difference, and it's a big one: we have ample evidence of our claims," Thomas Greenfield said in a statement to the UN Security Council. "All Russia has are bizarre conspiracies that are no more credible today than when they were first brought it to this council 6 months ago. Tehran has roundly denied it has provided Moscow with the drones used to attack Ukraine." Iran's Foreign Minister Hossein Amir Abdollahian said the drone accusations were baseless, and called on Ukraine to present any evidence supporting the accusations. Over half of Ukrainians believe events in their country going in the right direction. Some 51% of people in Ukraine believe that the events in their country are developing in the right direction, according to a nationwide survey conducted by the Razumkov Center. Andriy Bichenko, director of the Sociological Service of the Razumkov Center, announced the results of the survey at a press conference at Ukrinform. In the conditions of war, more than half of the population, 51%, believe that the events in Ukraine are now developing in the right direction. The paradox of this result lies not only in the optimism that the respondents show during the war, but also in the fact that in peacetime society very rarely shows such optimism, Bichenko said. Also, 40.5% of respondents believe that Ukraine is able to overcome problems within a few years, and 42.5% believe that problems can be overcome in the more distant future. More than 80% of people believe that Ukraine will overcome difficulties. The survey showed that more than 90% of citizens trust the armed forces of Ukraine to a certain or complete extent. In addition, more than 80% of Ukrainians trust the president and have a low level of trust in political parties and courts. Russia's 5 biggest military weapons flops in Ukraine. In just the opening weeks of its invasion of Ukraine, Russia reportedly lost more than $5 billion in military hardware. By mid-March, the Kremlin had already lost 58 aircraft, 83 helicopters, and 363 tanks, and the numbers have only become more staggering, with upwards of 2,000 tanks destroyed or captured. Ukraine has increasingly relied on captured weapons to support its own counter-offensive, and many tanks, howitzers, and caches of ammunition are being used against their former owners. Yet, much of Russia's military hardware could be best described, like the country, as old and failing. Here are Russia's biggest weapons flops. T-72 and the Jack-in-the-Box turret. It wasn't a surprise to Western observers that Ukrainian troops were using man-portable anti-tank weapons to blow the turrets clean off of Russia's T-72 main battle tanks, MBTs. The defect in the design, where up to 40 rounds of ammunition are stored in the turret compartment and could be set off even by an indirect hit to the hull, had been known for decades after it was first encountered in the 1991 Gulf War. Russia simply did little to address the Jack-in-the-Box effect, and its tank crews have paid with their lives. T-90 not really the best until this year. The Russian T-90 was considered one of the best MBTs on the planet. It hasn't lived up to the hype, however. Captured tanks have employed foreign technology, including French optronic technology, while the reactive armor has proven ineffective against Ukraine's man-portable weapons, including the US-made FGM-148 Javelin. 9M727 not really so Russian. The 9M727 cruise missile is now an example of a feared weapon that has proven to have problems. In this case, the missile can do much of what its makers claimed, including being able to maneuver at low altitudes to evade radar, while it can strike targets hundreds of miles away. The failure with the 9M727 isn't its capabilities, but it reportedly contains some 31 foreign components, including parts that were made by U.S. Texas Instruments and Advanced Micro Devices, AMD. It is a Russian design that Moscow simply couldn't make without chips from the USA. Russian aircraft, a complete failure. It isn't one airplane that has proven to be a problem for Russia in Ukraine. Rather, it is the entirety of the Russian Air Force and all its advanced combat aircraft. Russia failed to achieve air superiority, and the Kremlin's air power has had a surprisingly limited role in the overall conflict. One factor may be that both nations operate many of the same Soviet-designed fighters and even air defenses, so Moscow has been cautious about what it is willing to risk. Whereas thousands of tanks have been destroyed, the losses of combat aircraft are actually light, with just around a few dozen on each side as of July. The air war has no clear winner, but Russia's aircraft have proven to be the big loser. Flagship of the Black Sea Fleet turned submarine, the most spectacular Russian flop of the entire war to date was the guided missile cruiser Moskva, the largest warship to be sunk in combat since the Second World War, and the first Russian flagship lost in combat since the 1905 Russo-Japanese War. The fact that it was sunk by two land-based N-360 Neptune anti-ship missiles also serves to question the future of naval combat in littoral waters. Thanks for listening. See you the next video.